Hey guys, it's Rodney, and today we are going to be starting our outdoor gym project. We've got a side yard that we don't really use a whole lot, and it's kind of the perfect space because we also don't really walk through this side yard. It's kind of opposite of the carport. It's historically been used for storage and such, but we're going to put it to use by making a gym. The design is quite simple. The design is going to be a pull-up bar on one side, and we're going to do about a 5-foot spacing on that, so that way we can still walk under and through this space. And then we're going to do a set of parallel bars here with a ladder, and then kind of a modified incline here on the back side for sit-ups, incline press, things of that nature. So let's see how it turns out.
All right, because this structure is going to be freestanding, meaning it's not attached to something that could anchor it to the ground like a house or any other structure, we are going to aim for a 24-inch depth on all of our posts. They're going to have quite a bit of friction with the pull-ups and the parallel bars and things, so we want to make sure that we've got a good anchoring to prevent the structure from wiggling too much. And I've been using this handy post hole digger, which actually has measurements on the side. So it gives me a quick reference, but we can see the 24-inch mark there. We're aiming for, again, somewhere around that mark. And then once each of the posts are in, these guys will be able to be tied together, but we'll have a good footing on each of the posts for stability. All right, so little snafu here. I'm trying to set a post at the appropriate distance. Well, from our last posts over to here, again, that's gonna be the 5 foot. That's where that little orange dot is over here. And I really thought that this thin layer of concrete that they laid over just like a platform of bricks would be pretty easy to put a shovel and snap and then just break away this section over here. The problem that I'm running into though is the concrete is good concrete. So it's wanting to lift as one solid piece, and this piece is probably 5 foot by like 8 foot. So this is gonna be a challenge. All right, so I ended up just taking the pry bar and breaking out a section for now so that I can at least get my post set, and then while that dries, I'll probably work on removing the rest of this. But I want to show you guys, they actually used rebar in the top layer of the concrete. They basically made a brick pad. They kind of dug out essentially the depth of the brick, laid a rebar grid, and then poured wet concrete on top of it. Not something I'd recommend, but I mean, it works. Another cool thing is some of the bricks are labeled. In this one here, like a couple of the others that are intact, are all labeled with this Andy Cordell Reds, I believe it says. Yeah, Andy Cordell Reds. So kind of cool piece of history. Again, not something we'd build nowadays. Definitely have different building methods, but a kind of a neat use of material. All right, we've always get asked a lot what tools we're using for each project, so I'm going to try to start explaining some of the tools. But basically on this one, we're going to use a 6-foot level because our posts total are 10 foot, going in the ground 2 foot, so they're going to be 8 foot total. So the 6-foot level will help with that. I've got a 2-foot level for our bracing. I'm going to use a couple of 2x4s or 2x6s, I think is what I've got, but just to basically hold them in line because we need those in line as much as possible. Obviously a speed square, that's gonna help us square up our lines where our pull-up bar and things of that nature are gonna go. And then one of the most handy ones, of course, is gonna be this post level. Basically, you're able to put it on the corner and it's gonna tell you, each direction with just one spot instead of needing to constantly move your post around, which is nice. And then of course, a drill in our 2.5 inch screws. All right guys, so we've got our posts set. There are 5 posts all together. So these are gonna be the end of the parallel bar here. These are gonna be our 2 shortest posts. Those 2 bigger guys you see in the back of there are gonna be part of the ladder and what the parallel bars tie into, which looking at these supports is gonna look like that. And then no, not that guy. That guy is going to be our tallest with these other two, which will have the pull-up bar. This is where you really want to take your time though. So getting these guys set in square, you can see all the different like supports and things of that nature that I've got holding them in. Concrete is in the post holes, so that's setting up. I'm going to work on starting to measure out the height for these guys to get them level, and then I'll start marking where the ladder is going to be and such. But really, this is where you want to take your time. Everything else can adjust. As an example, this width here ended up at about 5'2" instead of 5 foot. You can adjust all of that stuff, but getting these guys square and in line is going to be one of the most important pieces. All right, so now that everything's set and braced and the concrete is hardening, what I've done is taken the time to go through and mark all of our cut lines. So on this particular side is the parallel bar. This height is going to be 5 foot off the ground. And then on every top bar, I'm leaving 4 inches. So the parallel bar will start here basically, and I've marked center, and we'll drill that 2-inch hole because we are using, they're like 1 3/4 inches, so 1 3/4 inch hole really, but it's the top pipes for chain link fences because it's a perfect size and diameter for doing pull-ups and things of that nature. And so that line, I've used a string line to come across and mark the parallel bar here. And then between the 2 tall poles for the ladder effect here, I've used a little 2x4 spacer there on the ladder, and it's 15.5 inches. I was aiming for 16, had a board that was 15.5, so that's what it ended. So we've got 15.5 inch spacing. And then as we come down the pole here, these lower ones are going to be what we use for the incline for the sit-ups. And then I did the same thing for the pull-up bar between those 2 posts there. And here I've left a solid 4 inches at the top because we're drilling a hole that's basically 2 inches. It's going to be the majority of the 4x4. So we want to make sure that we basically leave enough of the post so when you're drilling it, you're not weakening the post too bad. And when you're doing your pull-ups, obviously there's a little bit of friction up and down there. And then once they are drilled in, we'll use a self-tapping screw to hold the bar steady so that the bar itself doesn't rotate. But yeah, we'll check back in a few. All right guys, so we are on day 2 now. Posts are set and have hardened in concrete. And today I'm gonna have a helper, what's your name again? Jake, that's Jake. Today Jake's helping me. We are going to get the holes drilled now so that we can put in the ladder and the pull-up bar. And where I marked yesterday, we determined was actually a little too low. It's too short because Jake is very tall. So we are gonna bring that up a little bit. It's a tall guy. We're gonna bring that up a little bit, and then we'll be able to also put in the parallel bars on this side. All right guys, so at the top of the gym, there is one of the posts, the center post on the bars and the pull-up bar, we left a little high. Because it's an outdoor gym, I wanted to make it feel even more like an outdoor gym. So I'm gonna do something dorky and actually build a little birdhouse. I don't know if it'll actually get used, but I've got the scrap wood. So let's take a peek. we go. Structure's done. I am realizing now though that I know nothing about birds. This feels really, really large for any bird that lives around here. Maybe like a toucan or something could live in here, but it's a birdhouse. We will see if anything actually uses it, but we went with a 2-story design. Yeah, more like an ostrich. It's a big birdhouse. All right, so I have sanded it. Yes, it's just OSB. It's never going to be perfect. But like I said earlier, I know nothing about birds. I'm just, trying to help Mother Nature here. How sad would it be if a little bird got like a splinter? Can birds get splinters? I don't know. I know nothing about birds. But what I do know is that the OSB is going to help when I go to paint it to help seal the wood if it's not constantly flaking. So I did try to soften the edges. I spent extra time around the little openings. Again, I don't know what kind of massive bird is going to live in this thing. Oh, maybe an owl. Would an owl live in this? Does anybody know anything about birds? Feel free to tell us and educate us all about birds. But yeah, so I did sand it down. Again, softening kind of these arches that we opened up here, just again, so it doesn't flake. And then that will help when I go to paint it to keep the wood in good condition longer. But there it is. It's a bird condo. All right, so there we have it. Bird condo situation. Jake also said maybe raccoons. Raccoons would totally fit in this. I did paint it just again to help seal the OSB, and I did paint it the same color as the house. We're close enough. Spray paint, good enough. I did a couple of coats on the roof, and hopefully this holds up. And we're done, at least with the build. So we've got the pull-up bar over here. Jake's hanging on one of the parallel bars here. We've got the ladder, the other parallel bar. We do just need to paint, but it is getting a little dark here. It looks great on video. We did do a couple of modifications though. We did come up with the idea of doing a little drink and phone stand, if you will, so you're not holding on to your water bottle or it's not sitting on the dirt, which is, necessary. And then the incline for the little sit-up bench here. I think we are gonna modify this to become adjustable in the future, but for right now it is fixed and gives us plenty of space to walk through here, as the bar does sit at, I believe it sits at 7'6" now, because again, Jake is a tall dude.
I'm only 5'11".
We also had some scrap artificial turf laying around, so it is kind of a big L shape right now, but in the future I think what we'll do is we'll kind of round it off on that side and then connect back through here on the other side of the pull-up bar, which will also allow you this space as like stretching and warm up and things of that nature. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty good.
All right, guys, so that's it for the outdoor gym build. It is fully installed. It has been painted, birdhouse in. We even have someone already making a nest in it. Not sure if it's raccoon or a bird, but it's kind of cool. Anyways, click the links below to check out some of our other projects. Click some of the links you'll see on the screen next. We look forward to seeing you guys next time.